It's 1:30. I'd like to call the Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting to order. Roll call. Mr. Richard?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Litchfield? Mr. Littlefield, sorry.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Bridges? Mr. Hale?
Here.
Mr. Schuline? Here. Ms. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
And we still have a vacant for at-large. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 19th meeting, please. We have a motion from Commissioner Schuline. No, from Hale. And we have a second from Commissioner Jenkins. Do we have any comments? I'd like to have you vote, please. Would you show him? No, would you show Mr. Bridges? Oh, that's right. Okay. That's fine. He has to abstain because he wasn't here last time. Okay, motion passes. We'd like to welcome Ward 3 Commissioner Mr. Bridges to the Traffic and Transportation. In the back, he did swear in and signed all the correct paperwork. The report on licensing and record services is a quarterly report, which is due this month.
Afternoon. Sergeant Mark McCaleb with the Police Department. During the last quarter of 2011, we issued 80 new driver's permits. We issued 66 renewals and had 29 drivers transfer between companies. We inspected 45 vehicles. We had 4 failures. Corrections were made on those vehicles, and they came back and were passed on the second go-round. We investigated 13 complaints. Most of those complaints were drivers complaining about situations that have arisen in the Bricktown area and downtown. We're hoping with the proposed ordinance changes that are coming in the near future that a lot of those problems are going to be alleviated. We issued 4 citations to drivers for driving on expired permits and basically had a pretty slow last quarter.
Very good. Is there anything for him? Do you have any? All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item is the consent docket. May I have a motion to approve the? Hold on one second. Do we have anybody here to speak against an item on the consent docket? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent docket?
I'll move to approve the consent docket. I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher and a second from Commissioner Schuline. Is there any talk about the consent docket? Okay, may I have your vote, please? All in favor? The consent docket passes. Next item is item 5, items for individual consideration. First item is 5A, Lindo Young, 641 Southwest 160th Street, Oklahoma City, Ward 5. It's to consider a request for all-way stop control at the intersection of Stoneview Drive and Southwest 160th Street. Is Lindo Young here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. You have up to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Good afternoon.
Would you please state your name and address?
Okay. I'm Lendell Young. I live at 641 Southwest 160th in Oklahoma City. I'm here today to represent the residents of the South Meadows Homeowner Association, as well as the residents, on a request for an all-way stop sign. I got asthma, so you have to kind of bear with me here. On the request for an all-way stop sign at the intersection Southwest 160th and Stoneview Drive. Realizing that the volume of traffic doesn't justify stop signs at this intersection, our main concern is for the safety of our children and grandchildren. There are several children that plays in this area, and there is excessive speeding along Southwest 160th Street. This street is approximately a half-mile long, running east and west through the neighborhood, and it is the only through street going east and west in the neighborhood. And we have one sign at the south entrance, posted speed limit sign, and one at the west entrance on Western Avenue. There is no posted speed limit at the north entrance into our neighborhood. And these are the only traffic signs in our neighborhood. And we just feel like it's just becoming such a hazard for our children to play outside with the speeding and the cell phone usage. And we plead with you to place stop signs at this intersection to cut down on the speeding through here. And if we can't justify the stop signs, if we could probably maybe get some the trailers that says your speed is so-and-so or something put up to kind of alert the people that they are speeding when they shouldn't be. And I know I see it every day. My office faces a street on the north side of 160th, and there's just people come through there in excess of 50 miles an hour all the time. So, and that is our greatest concern, is safety for our children and grandchildren. And that's just about sums it up.
Okay.
And thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else to speak on this item? Okay. Do we have a motion concerning 5A? Okay. We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Hale. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion. We have a second to the motion from Commissioner George. Is there any talk on this item?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Stuart, based on my reading of the staff report, it seems like there's not a justification, but staff did, just to establish the right-of-way. I mean, it seems like the streets are operating the way they're supposed to, and that the 85th percentile is going 16 miles an hour. Is that?
Based on our road tube counts, yes, that's an estimated 85th percentile.
Meaning 85%
85% of the drivers that we measured the speeds on, or the estimated speeds on, were traveling 16 miles an hour or less.
I did notice that the traffic department thought that it wasn't really necessary, but that is such a long stretch at 1,100 plus feet on Southwest 160th, that even though the vast majority is at 16 miles an hour, I can see that one or two that's at 45 miles an hour there. And I just think for the neighborhood safety, and it's a lot of kids in that neighborhood, I do believe. I don't see anybody maybe there is somebody that's opposed to it here. I think the neighborhood's for it, and I think anything to make it neighborhood more safe is okay with me. So I second the motion.
Does anybody else have any comments? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Hale to approve item 5A, which is seconded by Commissioner George. May I have your votes, please? Item passes. Okay, the next item is item 5B. Peggy Orsom, 16912 Applewood Drive, Edmond, Oklahoma, Ward 7, to consider a request for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of Sunny Hall Road and Northwest 164th Street. Sheila Orsom?
Ormson, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Could you please state your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Sheila Ormson. I live with Peggy Ormson at 16912 Applewood Drive, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73012. Today, I am requesting at Sunny Hollow Road is a two-lane street leading into the Lexington addition located north of Northwest 164th Street between Santa Fe and Western Avenue. In 1987, the Lexington addition and the Valley addition consisted of about 150 single-family dwellings. At that time, there was a stop sign in the intersection of Sunny Hollow Road and 164th Street. Since then, both of the areas and the intersections of 164th and Santa Fe Western have become business hubs in the past year. And there's a Crest Food supermarket. It's always busy. McDonald's, just a large, busy intersection, and also at Western. In 1987, a small Lutheran church was built that today is a 600-member church. So it adds to the busy streets. Also, on 164th Street between Sunny Hollow Road and Western are self-storage facilities, veterinary clinics, things of that nature. With the widening and improvement of the Western Avenue, 164th became to utilize by people going to and from work and other businesses via the Turnpike, Hefner Parkway. Edmond residents from the east, north, and even south utilize 164th Street for this purpose. I have a few pictures I'd like to show, showing these streets. Picture 1 is from 164th Street looking east. This picture shows the incline of the road east of Sunny Hollow Road. Picture 2 is 164th Street looking west. This picture shows the incline of the road west of Sunny Hollow Road. These inclines indicate a signal light for Sunny Hollow Road could easily be seen by vehicle operators in ample time to adjust their speed in order to stop regardless of road conditions. Picture 3 is Sunny Hollow Road looking east at 164th Street. This picture shows a blind spot for the vehicle operators when they are exiting Sunny Hollow Road east or west. Picture 4, please, is Sunny Hollow Road looking west at 164th Street. This picture shows the utility poles that can obstruct the vehicle operators when they're trying to exit from Sunny Hollow Road east and west. Picture 5, please, is Sunny Hollow Road looking north into the Lexington addition. This picture shows the wide two-lane street on Sunny Hollow. And picture 6, please, is Sunny Hollow Road looking south toward 164th Street. This picture shows the stop sign that is still being used to exit the additions. Frequently, vehicle operators will float this stop sign and not stop. Oftentimes, just sitting there, I use this intersection a lot. You can see people floating it, and it can cause a lot of accidents in this area and has. The speed limit on 164th Street is 40 miles an hour. Vehicles often exceed the speed limit coming from the east. Vehicles traveling at 40 miles an hour in the right lane have another vehicle in front of them that is slowing to turn. Oftentimes, those vehicles will pass the other vehicle, and when the vehicle is moving in the left lane at increased speeds, this happens if they have passed the crest, that incline at the bottom of the hill near the intersection in Lexington Addition at the Sunny Hollow Road, and they're not able to see both vehicles because of the incline of the street and that blind spot. I don't mean to imply that a majority of the residents of the neighborhoods are, guilty of these actions, but it only takes a few to cause harm to many. At 164th Street is a busy 4-lane thoroughfare, which causes citizen safety concerns at a busy intersection that has only a stop sign to control the traffic since 1987 or before. A signal light seems to be a perfect solution to help control the speed of vehicles and even some of the bad driving habits of drivers traveling on 164th and using Sunny Hollow Road. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to our requests.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Do we have anybody else that wants to speak on this item? Have you already filled out a card? Come on up, sir. Mr. Randy Lewis? Yes, sir. Okay, could you please state your name and your address?
Yes, sir. Randy Lewis, a resident of the Lexington Homeowners Association, and I live at 16613 Sunny Hollow. I am here opposing the signal light. I, too, have lived in the neighborhood since 1989. I built my first home in the adjoining addition where the applicant lives, which is the Valley Addition. I live in the Lexington addition, which is the addition in front. We both share this thoroughfare, and it has become a busy area, but there's currently 2 signal lights at the major intersections of Western and 164th, which is in Oklahoma city limits, and in the Edmond city limits at Santa Fe and 164th. I've read the staff's report, and if I read the report correctly, the conclusions of the staff report is it doesn't warrant a signal light at this location. The major issue, I think, here with this intersection has to do with mainly the speed on 164th, which I think was also alluded to in staff's report here, of excessive speed on the road. They also measured the number of cars going out of the addition at that location, and I don't believe that even warrant the signal light. We have other concerns. Us as a homeowners association have invested a lot in this front entrance area in the last year. We've had sprinkler systems put in, we've had utilities put in, a lot of beautification efforts that went in there. We would be concerned, the staff recommended if a light would be there, there would be a left turn signal, a lane, and I'm not sure how that would be put in that area. So there's a lot of concerns that I think still need to be worked through on this. And since they've done the due diligence of the traffic count and that sort of thing, we don't, as Lexington residents and as a president of the Homeowners Association, don't see the need for this signal light. So,
Very good. Thank you, sir.
May I ask a question of the gentleman?
Well, if we can wait until we have actual motion. Mr. Chai, would you give us your staff recommendation, please?
Sure, all right. You've got our summary comments in the report before you. We did do a traffic signal warrant analysis at the intersection, and we based our initial study on the prevailing 85th percentile speed limit, or speed observed on 164th Street. 85th percentile on this particular road currently is at 49 miles an hour, so we ran our warrant analysis based on that. Warrants for signal analysis change after the speed on one of the roads exceeds 40 miles an hour. So had the traffic been moving at 40 miles an hour or less, we would have used the standard warrants based on, or the warrants based on the posted speed limit, but because it was running higher, we went ahead and ran a warrant analysis based on what we were observing. If you use the higher speed limit, which is showing that the 85th percentile traffic is running about 9 miles over the posted limit, you find that 2 of the signal warrants are met. But that's because the volumes for traffic are reduced when you go to higher speeds. If you do a study based on the posted speed limit, this particular intersection doesn't meet any signalization warrants. In the absence of mitigating circumstances, such as a high collision rate, and the fact that at a 40-mile-an-hour limit, the intersection wouldn't meet any of the signal warrants, we don't have cause to recommend the installation of a traffic signal at this intersection at this time. Now, just if the commission, and this is just thrown out there to consider, that should the commission consider approving the request, at that time we would recommend that if it's approved that the installation of the signal be accompanied with widening on 164th Street to accommodate an eastbound left turn lane into the addition. And that's basically driven by the fact that most of the intersections where signals are requested and turn lanes aren't provided, invariably we get requests for some form of left turn control. I mean, it's a very common occurrence. So if the commission were to consider the signal and recommend its approval, we'd recommend that that 164th Street be widened to accommodate a left turn lane for eastbound traffic. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to have a motion concerning 5B, please.
I'll move to disapprove.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to disapprove 5B. Do we have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Jenkins to disapprove 5B. Do we have any talk on 5B?
I do have a question of the gentleman, the president of the neighborhood.
Ms. Lewis, would you come forward, please?
You mentioned that there are two neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
Are they're organized homeowners associations or neighborhood associations?
Yes, sir. There is.
Has this issue, this request, is it something that the two neighborhood associations or either one separately have considered formally? The viewpoint of, all the members, have they looked at this and talked about it? Does the neighborhood have a consensus on what they'd like to see there done? I understand that the applicant is acting as an individual.
Correct. In terms of the Lexington Homeowners Association, they support the same values that I do here today. I can't speak on behalf of the Valley, but in my conversation with the applicant at the previous time when this was scheduled, she had not approached the Valley, so I cannot speak on that behalf. I would defer that to her.
So it is the formal consensus of your neighborhood that's unnecessary.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, does anybody else have any other items or other points to talk about?
I have a question for Mr. Chai. I wonder, do we ever consider installation of just a flashing red light? Or in a situation like this, you say it doesn't meet the criteria for a full...
Well, the only time we'd use a flashing red beacon at an intersection would be if there's an all-way stop. That's one of the few times we would do something like that.
But flashing yellow on one side, red on the other?
Well, the only thing it would do is highlight the fact that there's an intersection there, but we've got intersections at quite a few places along the arterial system.
Plus a line of sight is fine to see that edge.
Right, yeah, and I will comment on that. When we did measure that intersection for decision site distance, the criteria the city uses, which is based in the subdivision regs, causes us to we move 10 feet back from the edge of the road or the curb line, and we use a driver's eye height of 3.5 feet, and we use a target height of 4 feet 3 inches. And then that's checked until the target is no longer visible. We send one individual will stay at the intersection measuring with a laser rangefinder, and the other individual goes down the road until the target height disappears. At that point in time, that's when we establish the sight distance, because that sight distance is based on an unobstructed view of that target until it disappears. So, and in this particular case, at 40 miles an hour and even at 45 miles an hour, this intersection will pass decision site distance criteria. As you get towards 50 miles an hour, it won't pass any longer. But then again, that would be based on a posted limit that's 10 miles higher than what it is today.
What other means of ingress, egress to this neighborhood is available? I can't see from this.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes,
could you help us on that?
That is one of the alternatives that we suggested in this. The Valley actually has another egress out on Western Avenue between 164th and 178th, which is actually the Valley's entrance that they maintain, and that was one of the proposals that was discussed with the applicant as maybe modifying the request and seeing about a signal light at that location. So.
Is that the only other way in and out?
Yes, sir. Well, unless you want to go through a third neighborhood, which it still dumps out onto Western Avenue. Yes, sir.
Just kind of comment to the commission that there are a lot of arterial streets, thinking of 122nd, Memorial, all kinds of places where we have the similar condition and we don't have signal lights. And if we add signal lights everywhere, especially in this condition, it looks like less than a quarter mile away, the city of Edmond could add a signal light out of another adjacent addition, and we could have a real mess if we had signal lights at each one of these subdivision exits.
Is there any other talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion on the, I'm sorry. Ma'am? Would you like to come talk? Of course. We'll have you fill out a blue form when you're done. When you get up there, could you state your name and your...
72nd
Ma'am,
Street,
oh, just a minute. Could you-
proposed as a
ma'am, just
valley.
minute. No problem. Could you state your name and your address, please?
I'm Peggy Ormson of 16912 Applewood Drive, Edmond. Regarding the suggestion for the valley to use the one on 172nd Street, Sunny Hollow Road is built as a wide two-lane road extending through Lexington Addition and the valley on the east side of the creek. It extends over to 172nd Street on the east side of the bridge by about 2 or 3 blocks, joining the new section of the valley in which there's more than 200 houses that utilizes that. I am not of the opinion that Sunny Hollow Road was built only as the Lexington Addition entranceway. There's nothing to support that in anything that I know. There's nothing to stop Lexington people that come down Western that way and want to cut through there to going to their home down 172nd Street. When you get to 172nd Street, you're also exiting on a busy thoroughfare. Same conditions. We're going on to Western. Western's being, it's going to be widened even more right through there. There's going to be some traffic pileups there in the very near future because OG's has already moved their lines for that road to be. So those exits are going to be under stress. And if I'm mistaken that exit on Lexington is only for Lexington Addition, I'd like to know that. Plus, you talk about have they been polled? Yes and no. Early on, I put out some small signs along Sunny Hollow announcing that we were going to have this, and then we deferred it till now. I got more calls from the Lexington Addition residents in favor of this than I did from Valley. However, I would like to know, as a poll, if you would accept petitions of signatures in favor of this. If you could do that, I could get I could get a true poll of the Valley. I could probably get somebody to do a true poll of the Lexington Addition that lives in Lexington Addition. I think I had enough calls from people down there that would be willing to do it. It's very difficult to get people to come to meetings, any kind of meeting. But they will call you for you to do the work for them, as you all know, and they will sign a petition for whatever, just like they'll vote for whatever they want. So if those were permissible, I would work on those. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay. Are there any other items or any other talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion.
I'm sorry, Chairman Coolum.
Sorry?
So if we, as a commission, were interested in Ms. Ormson being able to bring back additional information such as petitions and all that, would it be most appropriate to go ahead and take action on this application, approve or disapprove, and then she reapply, or to continue this?
Well, let me defer to Mr. Chai and our counsel.
When it comes to items regarding traffic control on the arterial system, there's no petition requirement at all. An individual, homeowner association, doesn't matter. It just takes one person to initiate a study. Matter of fact, probably next month you'll see another study for a request for a signal on North Meridian Avenue that was just initiated by an area resident. So there's no, A petition may demonstrate some level of support, but it's not considered, or it's not required as far as whether or not signalization is an appropriate form of traffic control at an intersection.
Which is different than stop sign control, which we have them do a 30 or a 300 feet.
Right. Interior to a subdivision, we have applicants circulate, because that's a form of notice to area residents that a control is coming up. It may just be, a form of a stop sign, but it's also a form of notification, especially if there's going to be a change with respect to parking controls, because those are things that, initial notification, the opportunity for people to understand what's coming their way. That's where it's particularly important. But, on the arterial system, the city will do improvement projects, where we will come through and, like, 4-lane road, put in left turn bays on all the major approaches at, like, a section line road intersection, and typically signalization is just naturally included as part of a project like that because it's the most appropriate form of traffic control to handle those volumes. But, in those cases, there's no petition process or anything else like that. There's not necessarily a requirement for public involvement, unless, of course, there's, federal funding or something like that may be involved, in which case, as part of your environmental clearance, you have to, conduct a public meeting. In a case like this, there's no particular public notice or petition required for an application such as Mrs. Ormson's.
It's not required, but if the applicant were to come with that information, it could sway the opinion, would be the thing, that it would come. It would say it's not just one person, it's multiple people that would want that.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's all it would say.
Yeah, all a petition would show is that there is more than just an individual's interest in it.
Correct. So as far as this item is concerned, it's a single applicant bringing it forward. If in the future, if this got disapproved, and in the future an applicant came with 100 signatures saying that they wanted this event to occur compared to 10 that said no, that would be more data that would be presented to the Traffic Commission. Not that it would garner the approval, it would just be more data given to us to think about.
Right. Well, because every petition that we receive, we go ahead and include in our staff report, because it gives the members of the commission an idea as to how popular something is supported, or maybe how well noticed the area was when it came to the request. But in this particular case, as far as a groundswell of support in favor of any particular application, our staff reports are based on basic or engineering principles, and like I said,
That's more for us to consider.
That's right. It's more for the commission's consideration.
Okay, very good. Okay, are there any more? Ma'am, would you like to come speak? Okay, well, when you're done, please make sure we get a form.
Yes.
And make sure to have your name and address, please.
Okay. I'm Carol White, and I live at 16916 Applewood Drive, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73012, so right next to my neighbor here. You were talking about the fact that we would have to widen the street if this was to happen, right? You would have to widen it for a turning lane. I used to live in Fox Hollow, which was right off Memorial, between Broadway and Eastern. Now they put a stoplight in our neighborhood and they didn't put a turning signal lane at that place. Is that something that you would be doing now that you wouldn't have done, like, maybe 10 years ago? That's what I was wondering. I would really like, I just moved back to Oklahoma, took a short trip to California for a couple of years, and moved back. And so I bought this house over in this, and I live in the valley. And I do know that I've talked to some people that go to my church that live in the Lexington. They didn't make it here today, but they said they were in favor of it because they know how much that area has grown in the years that they've lived there, too. And that is a very dangerous intersection, from what I understand, that there's been a lot of accidents at that corner. Now, I don't know if there's any, what kind of information you have on that, but that's just what they had told me since I've only been there for 6 months. But I know at some times of the day it gets really, really very hard to get in and out of there, and with people coming down that road, it makes it kind of a safety problem. So that's all I wanted to say today, and I thank you for listening.
Well, just for your information, we use the Department of Public Safety records when we pull together accident data at an intersection. And for the 12-month period, because the traffic signalization warrants are based on accident experience in the previous 12-month period. So when we prepared this report between September 2010 and September 2011, there were 2 recorded collisions at the intersection.
Maybe
Right.
that's what you showed, and that's...
Right. And with respect to the item you brought up on left turn lanes, a lot of the traffic signals that you see that will be built from time to time, a lot of those, because of the nature of funding in government, were typically approved maybe several years ago. And at the time that they were approved, they didn't have any requirement, or it wasn't, part of their funding did not include roadway improvements. Typically, we look at doing roadway improvements, especially at, if an intersection like this is going to be considered, we would typically look at doing that, because invariably, there will come a point in time where we might get a request from residents for, can we have a left turn signal here? But if you don't have the facility for a left turn lane, the best that we can do is put in like a pre-timed turn signal that would come up. But it'd only run for a short period, and then you'd be back to just making a permissive left turn yield across traffic.
Okay, very good. Is there any other topic?
I guess I do have a question. Going through this traffic report, it looks to me, and it's kind of my question, is that to warrant a signal, there's plenty of traffic on 164th. If I'm looking at like thresholds and like minimum requirements, but it's really the arterial or the interior street, whatever the name of the street is, Sunny Hollow, that there's not nearly enough traffic to warrant the light. Is that correct? It looks like the highest hour of use was 82 cars, and it really needs 150 car minimum to warrant. Is that, am I looking at that
It's
correct?
actually both. Because because when we do these warrant analysis, we look at the hourly volume on the main street, and we look at the corresponding hourly volume on the side street. If you look at the overall traffic volumes, I mean, you can see there's like 15,000 cars a day on 164th Street, and I think over 2,000 on Sunny Hollow. But it's how those vehicles are distributed across the day, because there are 3 signal warrants that relate to traffic volumes. There's an 8-hour warrant, there's a 4-hour, and then there's a peak hour warrant. And we run our analysis through all of those. And you have to have a certain number of vehicles on the main street with a corresponding number of vehicles on the side street.
Okay.
And they have to meet the 8-hour warrants. You have to have 8 occurrences during a 24-hour period. And like I said, those numbers change a little bit. They're reduced for the side streets when you evaluate signals based on speeds higher than 40 miles an hour. That's why when we did an analysis based on the prevailing speed limit, which not prevailing speed limit, but the observed 85th percentile.
Right.
With the reduced volume requirement on the side street, it was able to meet a couple signal warrants. But if you do it purely based on the posted limit, which is ideally what we would like drivers to observe, because it not only figures into, a reduction in accident severity in the event of a collision, but also because speed does have an influence on decision sight distance. Which is one of the reasons why, if we were ever to receive a request saying, well, if the prevailing speed is 49 miles an hour, once you just raise the speed limit to 50, we'd come back and say, well, you're going to find intersections along this road that will no longer have sufficient decision sight distance for driver safety, and so we'd never be able to approve an application like that. So, but yeah, the signal warrants are based on traffic on both the main street and the side street. It's not just necessarily one or the other.
Okay. Is there any more talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Witcher that is seconded by Commissioner Jenkins to disapprove item 5B. May I have your votes, please? Okay, the motion, just a moment. Okay, very good. No, that's fine. Okay, the item doesn't, okay, so you're voting. Okay, so the item is not approved. Okay, item Okay, just a moment, on 5B, if we could maybe make sure that your folks get out there and look at that. 49 is a high speed for that area. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, item 5C, applicant is Stuart Chai from the City Traffic Engineering to consider updating and amending the Traffic and Transportation Commission standard operating policies and procedures.
Let me make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
When you are looking at the documents in here, can you refer to a page number or tell us, because it's hard for me to follow
Yes, sir.
back on that because the pages are not numbered.
Okay, very good, sir.
Yeah, we had a discussion about that earlier, and part of the challenge is that the documents that we compile aren't necessarily like in a Word format where you can automatically page number them, so we'll find some means of numbering them.
Okay, so we're on item 5C.
Right. The item before you is just an update to the standard operating policies and procedures that the Commission's been using since about 2007. Appreciate some of the feedback on some of the I don't so much think as there may be typographical type issues to correct, but the primary reason for giving you this update at this point in time is to make available the public notice and the petition process, make more avenues available to applicants. Because right now, some applicants, if they've got like a contentious item, like if they want to restrict parking in their neighborhood because they're having issues with, one or more residents, they might not feel compelled to be, or feel that they can go and approach these people, even though they need to be petitioned to sign off on it. So what this will do is this will allow them to send, they still have to contact them, they just don't necessarily have to contact them in person. They still have to, they can contact them by certified mail, with then the applicants getting, or the people receiving the petition, getting the ability to send their responses straight back to us to compile the results. And what we would do in this particular case is, if an applicant contacts us, we would prepare a list of physical addresses that they would need to notify as part of the process, and their items wouldn't be able to be presented to you until they had contacted everyone and we've received at least 2/3 notification in favor of the item. As noted in there, if we don't get a response, we wouldn't consider it as, they couldn't be counted in favor of it. Because right now, if you've got like a vacant home, we just have the applicants notice, make a note of that on their petition. So if you've got to, say you've got to circulate your petition to 10 homes and 4 are vacant, well, obviously right there you're down at 60%. Even if every resident, you're at 60% based on the residents that are there, but if we adhere to that 2/3, you'd never be able to get 2/3 because you don't have enough residents occupied even to make up 2/3. So we look at that and we take that into consideration. But like I said, our primary reason for updating this is to allow applicants to be able to petition by a less direct means. It's still direct, but it would be a less personal means, but it may be a more appropriate means for certain individuals who may or may not be able to physically get out and petition. Others may have somewhat of a contentious item, but without notification, we've got a few items that haven't gone anywhere because the applicants I don't think they're comfortable enough in soliciting signatures from their neighbors. So if you've got any additional comments that you would like us to incorporate into this, or see any Scrivener's errors that we need to modify, I've got 2 from Commissioner Jenkins that we're going to correct, but other than that, recommend your favorable approval of an update to the policy.
I have a question.
First, we have to have it on the floor. No, that's okay. No, that's fine. We have item 5C. We need to have a motion concerning 5C, please.
I move we accept staff's recommendation.
All right, that's Commissioner Schuline,
I second.
and a second by Commissioner Jenkins to approve to approve updating and amending our standard operating procedures. Are there any items or any talk on the item?
I'll get my Robert's rules out, study that, get better. I've had some experience with petitioning and neighborhood work that I've done, and I think that this would be incredible help. has there been any consideration in looking into the opportunity of, in addition to certified mail, an electronic version? A lot of the neighborhoods that I have worked with have very, very well-structured websites and really, really good ways of communicating. And I think an email is considered a legal document or a response to one. That might give us all a look into a little bit further future of how communicating might be if something should ever happen to the opportunity to send a certified letter. And it's a very efficient way of communication within neighborhoods and Ward 2, I'm certain.
We will accept responses that are sent to us, to the petition process through email, but as far as being able to distribute and making sure, physical addresses we can all find on a map. But as far as email addresses, that would be probably a little bit more challenging. But if an applicant could provide email addresses corresponding, that we could get corresponding information that would match physical addresses within a neighborhood, I suppose we could probably look at something like that. Really, because the petitioning process is more a function of serving public notice, and then when the item is ready to present to the commission, it gives the commission a sense of whether or not the item's properly, how well it's supported. So, and I think it makes the decision process, or it probably helps in the decision process, knowing that what's being sought is probably more well supported, because the issue that you had today when you had a few individuals talking about a traffic signal, but you didn't really have a definitive word as to whether or not they had authorization to speak on behalf of their homeowners associations. You just have to use your discretion when you weigh comments like that.
Anybody else have any comments on this?
Well, I would just like to say this was very helpful for me because I would like to maintain a copy so I can refer back so I'll know, okay, this is what has happened in this particular situation. So I'd like a copy.
Sir, the certified mail, will that be the responsibility of traffic management or the applicant?
That would be the applicant. It is their application. We will help them put together a list of addresses.
Okay,
But as far as because otherwise, if that were to come out of our budget, then we probably, the city, its services are paid for by, tax revenues and other revenue sources. And if we were to provide a service which is basically costing us additional fund, we'd probably try and recoup some of that. But I think it's probably cleanest and easiest to let the applicant make that direct contact.
And then is this something that is just, it's our policy, or are we approving a recommendation for council to approve this, or does this just stick with us?
It's entirely the commission's policy.
Is there any other talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Schuline to approve item 5C, which are the updates and amendments to our standard operating procedures, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. May I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Thank you. Okay, item 5C, comments from citizens. There's nobody left. Item 6, I'm sorry. Item 6, comments from citizens. Item 7, reports and other items. We'll go through the list here. Commissioner Witcher.
I have nothing to report this month, sir.
Commissioner Littlefield.
I have some fun stories. Chesapeake Energy's developments in the 56th, 57th, 58th Street and Western corridor, they're tremendous. Amazing things going on up there that's increasing and challenging the traffic. And there is an independent traffic study going on right now that the neighborhood was able to accomplish through Councilman Shadid to address the impact of a closure that's being requested on Northwest 58th Street. And it's all good work. And it's the city and Chesapeake and two neighborhoods are sitting down and working together trying to figure something out. So that's good news. And the other thing that I wanted to comment, in the process of working with that issue, I discovered January 24th, 2010, the Planning Commission passed a resolution to develop a policy where new development applicants and applicants attempting to upzone for developments will be required to submit with that application a traffic study, how that development or that upzoning will impact the immediate traffic in that area. And that's the exact tool that would have really helped in the case that we're working on with Brookhaven and Meadowbrook Acres neighborhoods. And I look forward to learning about that policy when it goes into effect and what it is. And I think that's going to be a really good tool for this city in dealing with traffic issues when we have the caliber of development that we're experiencing with Chesapeake Energy in that finite area of town. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Bridges, do you have anything, sir? Yes, sir.
I've served on a lot of boards and commissions, and I've learned the first meeting you go to, you keep your damn mouth shut. Thank you.
Very good comment, sir. Thank you. Let me have Commissioner Hale. Thank you very much. Commissioner Schuline.
Mr. Chairman, we've had some interesting discussions going on in Ward 6, too, around a new a new apartment complex that's proposed at Northwest 13th and Walker. And as a part of that discussion, it's come to light that I think there's a lot of concern about traffic flow on Chartel, and particularly on the stop signs. And I was just going to ask if our friends at the PD maybe could increase surveillance a little bit there on Chartel and 16th particularly, just to make sure that...
And what exactly are you looking for?
I think people are really running the stop sign and the speed issues on North Chartel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner Jenkins.
No comment.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And Commissioner George.
Yeah, no comment. I agree with Mr. Bridges.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. Ms. Jackson, do you have anything for us? All right. Kevin?
I also added the 160th Street. I'll have the motor officers go down there and watch that until stop signs can get put in. And I'll also have them check 164th, like you were talking about, for cars in excess.
Right, that speed there.
For two of the applicants, I'm going to have the solo motorcycles go down and take some additional traffic enforcement in those areas. At 160th, before the stop signs get put in on 164th.
Right, which is in that housing area there. Correct. Which, yeah, item 5A. Okay, and Mr. Chai, anything else, sir?
I have really nothing to add. I will note that a couple months ago, the commission had approved the addition of stop sign or stop control on Sheridan at Joe Carter. And one of the things that was recommended was the use of like LED enhanced stop signs. We've got those on order, so we're just waiting on their delivery for their installation.
Which you're thinking about when? What are they looking at? Do you know? Like years?
No, it should just be a couple of weeks, I would imagine, before we take delivery on them.
Okay, very good. All right, I'd like to just say, as my first time being the chairman, it's a little bit different seeing people head-on compared to their side views. And I would just ask, and then you did very well, thank you very much, if I say something wrong, to tell me right away. You know, it doesn't hurt to nudge. You know, maybe a slap on the face would be too much, but a little nudge would be perfect. So feel free, please. We want to do things right. And if I'm going the wrong way or doing something wrong, please nudge me and make sure that we do it right, because that's our goal. Okay, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher. Anybody wants to stay? Stay.